Welcome to Business Spotlight. I'm Gary Alfonso. For the first time in history, the B20 Summit, the official business engagement group of the G20, is being hosted on African soil. And playing a central role in this landmark moment is Old Mutual. But what makes this platform such a critical pillar in promoting inclusive economic growth across Africa? Joining me now to unpack this is Iain Williamson, Group CEO of Old Mutual Limited. Iain, welcome and thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
The Business 20, or the B20 as it's known, serves as the official G20 dialogue forum for the global business community. Why did Old Mutual decide to get involved in the B20?
I think for us it's an opportunity to assist with trying to promote policy that's business friendly across the African continent. So the theme of the G20 forum, which is the sort of the government political end of it, is all around inclusion and hopefully policies that will engender growth across the African continent. The B20, as you said, brings together about 3,000 business leaders from around the world. But in the lead up to the actual get together, there are a number of work groups that work on pillars which aim to make policy recommendations to the governments. And our objective is to then get involved in that policy formulation work to make those recommendations in such a way that we start to hopefully get growth-friendly, business-friendly policy implemented, particularly when it comes to business across the African continent.
This is the first time the G20 and now the B20 is being hosted on African soil. What does an organization like yourselves, Old Mutual, hope to achieve through participation?
Well, we are very proudly an African organization, fundamentally. Obviously, our biggest business is in South Africa, but we have presence across 13 countries across the continent. So for us, we're getting involved in specific work streams. We're getting involved in the digital transformation work stream, in a finance and infrastructure work stream, in a trade and investment work stream, and in an integrity and compliance work stream. So that combination of issues deals with issues of good governance, issues of digital inclusion, which is really a network industry that helps to promote growth, issues of finance and infrastructure, where obviously we've got an incredible amount of expertise. We are the largest non-bank infrastructure investor on the continent. And the trade and investment piece around breaking down the barriers to physical trade is also critical. So we would like to think that putting our expertise, skills, and voice into those pillars, we can help to formulate policy that will ultimately help our businesses to grow across the continent, but ultimately also be good in general, for business and for society across the continent.
So the G20 doesn't happen every day, but how does this kind of involvement now align with and support Old Mutual's core strategy?
Yeah, we aim to be an integrated financial services provider across the African continent. What we're trying to do is to show up in a way that solves financial problems for people that are really real in their lives. But behind that, if you take a big step back around what we really do at the end of the day, we take a lot of contributions from millions of people every month, and it could be as little as a couple of $100 a month from people. We aggregate all that money, and we end up with a R1 trillion balance sheet to be deployed and invested on their behalf. A big part of that, as an example, is infrastructure investment. So we invest in things like solar energy, wind farms, schools infrastructure, student housing, toll roads, etc. And so just as an illustration, we want to further the growth of our business. To further the growth of our business, we need business-friendly policy. So, that's the root of it. And then it's really just about getting involved also from we believe it's the right thing to do. We believe that Africa's voice on the world stage is often ignored or very soft. And I think the presence of the G20 and the B20 in Africa for the first time gives an opportunity to elevate Africa's voice and to start to put on the global agenda some of the issues that are important for Africa as a continent from a policy perspective.
Iain, Old Mutual has taken an active role within several B20 task forces which focus on shaping policy recommendations across key global business areas. Can you perhaps speak to Old Mutual's specific contributions within these task forces?
Yes, I mentioned the specific task forces earlier, maybe just to use two examples. In the digital transformation arena, we're aiming to promote the build out and the inclusive access to digital infrastructure in the belief that that is a foundation stone for economic growth on a forward-looking basis. Digital infrastructure is the infrastructure of the future. And I think it's a network industry that results in multiplier trickle-down effects for economic growth in a particular economy. So that's one example. The other one is on the finance and infrastructure side. As I said, we are a big financer of infrastructure, which also means that we have a lot of skills around not so much the engineering end of infrastructure, but more around what does it take to set up an infrastructure project for success and to make it investable for the private sector. So by putting our skills into that discussion and that debate, we hope to provide a policy guideline that enables governments and businesses around the world to establish that framework. It would allow that infrastructure investment into Africa, both attracting capital that's already in Africa, as well as hopefully making it easier for foreign capital to come in and to be appropriately rewarded for making that investment.
Going to have to leave it there, but fascinating insights and best of luck. Iain, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
That was Iain Williamson, Group CEO of Old Mutual Limited, sharing valuable insights on the company's role in the B20 Summit. Stay watching.